let's get started. We're going to be talking about the disappearance and murder of Laci Peterson, a case that still makes people uncomfortable even all these years later. Because this didn't happen on any random day. This happened on December 24th, 2002. In 2002, Laci Peterson was 27 years old, 8 months pregnant, and living in Modesto, California with her husband, Scott. They were expecting their first child, a little boy that they planned to name Connor. Everyone knew that Laci said the same thing. She was very excited. She was happy. She was ready to be a mom. And then she vanished. According to Scott, that morning Laci planned to walk their dog and bake cookies. Scott said that he left the house fishing at the Berkeley Marina, almost 90 miles away from the home. Let's stop right there. He actually told the family that he was going to go play golf. The family didn't know he had a boat. They had no idea that he had a boat. They learned this during this investigation. We're going to go back and forth here about this boat. So he's already lied, okay? But once he has to report his wife missing, he says he went fishing 90 miles away. Now, what man is going to leave his wife at home, pregnant wife at that, that's 8 months pregnant with their first child, a son that they plan to name Connor? What person would leave the house to go play golf, but then turn around and go fishing 90 miles away from your home on Christmas Eve? Who does that? I know what I'm doing on Christmas Eve. What are you doing on Christmas Eve? Just my opinion and my opinion only. All right, let's reel back into what we were talking about. Everyone who knew Laci said the same thing. She was excited, she was happy, she was ready to be a mom, and then she vanished. According to Scott, that morning, Laci planned to walk their dog and bake cookies later that day. Scott said he left the house to go fishing at Berkeley Marina, almost 90 miles away. When he came home that evening, Laci was gone. The dog was found outside still wearing its leash. That detail alone stopped people in their tracks. At first, the community railed. Massive searches were organized. Volunteers showed up in droves. Laci's face was everywhere, on the news, on flyers across the country. But as the days went on, the attention slowly shifted to Scott, the husband. Woo woo, big surprise there, y'all. Big surprise. Investigators learned Scott had been having a secret affair. Of course, they didn't learn that right off the bat. Obviously, Scott's definitely not going to say anything until he has to, right? I mean, this happens all the time with these kind of cases. But investigators learned that Scott had been having an affair. And even more disturbing, he told this woman he was seeing that he had lost his wife before Laci was ever reported missing. Let's let that sink in. And also, let's back up some. So she goes missing on December the 24th of 2002. When he tells everyone he's going to go play golf, but he's actually going to go fishing. And no one knows that he has a boat, by the way. They don't find this out until Laci's reported missing. He meets this other woman, 2002, and then December 9th of 2002, he tells this other woman that he lost his wife and this is going to be a very hard holiday for him. However, he only told this other woman that he lost his wife on December the 9th because someone at work who also knew this other woman was about to bust Mr. Scott. So, is that a coincidence? I mean, we all know that he's, in my opinion, a filthy little butthole because he's having an affair and he's got an 8-month-old pregnant wife at home. Beautiful wife, 27 years old. And he is just constantly, lies are just constantly stacking up. And this is before all this other stuff is discovered, okay? All right. Now, let's reel back to the bullet points of this story. At first, the community railed. Massive searches were organized. Volunteers showed up in droves. Laci's face was everywhere, on the news, on flyers, across the country. But as the days shortly went on, slowly the attention shifted towards Scott. Investigators learned that Scott had been having a secret affair, and even more disturbing, he told this woman he had been seeing that he had lost his wife before Laci was ever reported missing. His behavior didn't sit right with people. The interviews, the timelines, the distance he drove to go fishing on Christmas Eve. Who actually goes fishing on Christmas Eve or anywhere 90 miles away from their home with their pregnant wife at home? I'm baffled by that one. But let's continue. And then the worst case possible happened. In April of 2003, 4 months after Laci disappeared, human remains washed ashore in the San Francisco Bay. Human remains washed ashore in San Francisco Bay. Exactly where Scott said he had been fishing on New Year's Eve to the detectives, which was 90 miles away from their home. Is this a coincidence? Or he just has a bunch of bad luck here? They were Connor and Laci. Laci was decapitated. Connor was outside of her body. Because the bodies were so decomposed, it was hard for them to determine exactly how both of them died. Jeez, I wouldn't want to be the detectives on this case. The location was painfully close to the marina where Scott said he had been fishing the day they disappeared. Prosecutors believe Scott murdered Laci and dumped her body into the bay. The case was largely circumstantial, but the jury believed there was only one explanation. In 2004, Scott Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder of his wife Laci, second-degree murder of their unborn son Connor. He was sentenced to death. Years later, that death sentence was overturned because of jury issues, but Scott Peterson was resentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The disappearance of Laci Peterson is still debated. People argue evidence, media influence, and alternate theories. But at the center of it all, there's one undeniable truth. Laci and Connor never got the life they deserved. And that's something no appeal can overturn. Now, this is going to be our first video. Just a short little timeline of the disappearance and murder of Laci and Connor Peterson. We're going to have more videos. Like I said, this has to be broken up into several videos because there is a lot to unpack here. Please don't forget to subscribe to my station, and we'll see you on the next one.